Good morning, class 7. We start with a new chapter today. Chapter 10, Soil. So, what is soil? Soil is a natural resource, just as water, minerals, plants, and animals are our natural resource. Soil is one of the natural resource. Okay, soil, which you commonly call as mud, etc., is a natural resource. What does it give us? How is it useful to us? Soil is the most useful natural resource. Why? The main reason is because it is where the plants grow. Plants, as you know, provide us with everything that we require. They give us food, they give us wood, they give us fibers, they give us raw material for our industries. Not only this, soil is directly used to make lot of important things like bricks that you use to make buildings. Then it is also used to make pottery. From the beginning of the civilization, man has learned to make pottery, isn't it? Pots through which we could use utensils. We could make utensils and beautiful toys, and then pots to hold plants. But did you also know that soil is also useful to make glass items? All the china items, the glassware, the porcelain, the tiles of your houses, are for all this, soil is the raw material. So, soil is indeed a very, very useful natural resource. Let us now see what is the soil made up of. The composition of soil. If you see the pie chart, we can see that soil is made up of 25% of air, 25% is water, 45% is mineral matter, and 5% is organic matter. You understand air and water. Now, what is this mineral matter? That is the small particles of soil, isn't it? What is it actually made up of? It is made up of minerals, various minerals like salts of iron, calcium, potassium, magnesium, phosphorus, etc. And the plants also require these minerals for their growth. What do you understand by the organic matter? The organic matter is mostly called as the humus, which is nothing but the remains or the rotting or decaying plants and animals. Have you grown a small plant in your garden? What happens to its leaves? After some times, the leaves become yellow and fall down. It falls directly into the soil or the mud. Does it remain just like that? No, it begins to decay. It begins to rot, turns into a dark color mass. And in a few days, it, it is no longer in the shape of a leaf itself. This is what is called as the organic matter. So, dead plants and dead animals in the soil are gradually changed into organic matter or humus. Besides this, there are a lot of living organisms which find soil as their homes, isn't it? We find lot of snakes, rabbits, which have deep burrows inside the soil. Then you find a variety of ants, termites, beetles, and of course, the friend of the farmer, the earthworm. So these are some of the living organisms which you find in the soil. So this is the composition of soil. Now, there is an interesting question. Was soil always present on earth? What do you think? Can you remember the formation of the earth? The earth, when it was formed, was actually a hot ball of fire. It gradually cooled down and became into a solid mass. At that time, no, there was no soil on the earth. There was no soil, there were no plants, there were no animals, but there were only rocks. So, soil is in fact formed from the rocks. So, where did the soil come from? Soil is formed from the rocks by their breaking down into small particles. Have you seen rocks? They are so big, huge, so strong. How can they be broken into small pieces without any machine, without anything? Yes, it can be broken down little by little. First, it begins with a crack. So, a big boulder may turn into two huge pieces. Then, these two huge pieces may turn into four large pieces. Then, these four large pieces may further crumble, form pebbles, and these pebbles may eventually be ground into soil. So, this process in which the rocks are broken down into small particles is called as weathering. So, how does this weathering take place? In nature, we have got lots of things which help in the process of weathering, and we call them as agents of weathering. The natural elements that help in weathering are called as agents of weathering. What are they? They are the wind, the water, the rainwater, or the flowing water of the rivers, streams, or even the oceans, ice, plants, animals, the temperature difference, and various chemical processes help in the weathering or the formation of rocks. If you see the types of weathering, there are three main types of weathering. They are the physical weathering. The physical weathering is also called as mechanical weathering. Then you have chemical weathering, and then you have the biological weathering. Let's take physical and mechanical weathering. What do you understand by physical or mechanical weathering? It means breaking up of big rocks due to a physical or a mechanical process. So the wind, water, gravity, and glaciers gradually will rub on the rock and gradually will remove small particles. We call this as aberration. We call this as aberration. Sometimes in very cold region an interesting thing happens. When rain falls, it collects in the cracks between the rocks. And at night, when this water freezes and turns into ice, as you know, the ice occupies more volume. So it'll expand the crack. Next day, morning again, this water melts. Again, night it freezes. And daily freezing of the water in the cracks of rocks will expand the crack and eventually break it into two. We call this as ice wedging. Then there is always a change in the pressure and change in the temperature, isn't it? During the daytime, the rocks become very hot, but at night times it cools down. This alternating change in temperature between hot and cold causes expansion and contraction of the rock. This continuous expansion and contraction will eventually make the surface of the rock weak, leading to its cracking. We call this process as exfoliation. Here are few pictures to explain to you what we just now studied. Can you see the beautiful picture of the rock on the left side? It's a result of weathering due to wind. So if I put a fan or if there is a very windy place, will I get such beautiful rock formations? No, sir. This would have occurred over hundreds or thousands of years. It takes hundreds and thousands of years for this piece of rock to be cut like that due to wind. Wind alone cannot cut. But remember, when wind blows, it also carries small particles of sand with it, isn't it? This helps or speeds the process of weathering. See the picture on the right hand side. What I was just talking about, ice wedging. That is what would have happened to break that big boulder into two. Can you see the picture below? You can see so many cracks appearing. Okay, why? Because of this temperature difference during the day and the night. So all the surface has lot of cracks which will eventually break down into small pieces of rocks and which again will break down to form soil. Let's see the chemical weathering. Various things help in the chemical weathering. The first and foremost is water. When water falls on rocks, all the salts or minerals that are present, if they dissolve in water, that particular portion will dissolve and be taken away by the water. And the remaining elements, remaining rock which is not able to react with water will remain as it is. Chemical weathering is also taking place due to the reaction with oxygen, with acids which come down along with the rain, and also with the help of certain acids or things which are secreted by organisms. So this is the process of chemical weathering. Now let us take a look of how biological weathering takes place. Biological weathering mainly takes place due to the roots of the plants. Sometimes a seed may fall in the crack between a rock. There it may germinate and grow into a big tree. The roots of the tree, as it keeps growing, will eventually crack open the rock, leading to its weathering. Sometimes burrowing animals and the small insects that live in the soil will also help in breaking down of the bigger rocks into smaller particles. This is also called as biological weathering. Now, have you eaten a cake? Cake? What does soil has got anything to do with cake? We'll see. Have you eaten a cake? Before you eat a cake, what do? You cut it, right? You cut it. When you cut it and take a slice, what do you see? You see the different layers in it. How many layers it is made up of, and what is the icing between it, whether it is chocolate or vanilla or butterscotch. Yes? So, imagine the earth as a cake. And we cut a slice of this earth cake. What we get is the soil profile. So what is a soil profile? It's the vertical section of soil from the surface to deep below, which shows well developed layers. Right? So each of this layer, we call it as horizon. We call it as horizon. So starting with the top, you have the A horizon, below which you will find the B horizon, below which you will find the C horizon, and below which you will find the bedrock. Let us see the soil profile in detail. The top soil or the A horizon is very dark in color. This is the surface, this is the soil that you actually get to see. Okay, it is dark in color due to the presence of lot of humus. Most of the plant roots you can see in this layer, and insects like the earthworms. It is very porous and fertile. It is most suitable for plant growth. The layer which is just below the topsoil is called as the subsoil. It is lighter in shade because of the absence of humus, but this layer is very, very rich in minerals and nutrients. Only the trees of and only the roots of big trees can be found in the subsoil. The sea horizon is also called as the parent rock. This layer is present just below the subsoil and consists of big and small pieces of rocks with lots of cracks and crevices. This layer does not support plant growth. The last layer is the bedrock. This is the layer which is present below the parent rock. It consists of solid rocks and it is completely non-porous. All the rainwater gathers over these bedrocks, forming the water table. This is the unweathered rock. When cracks appear in this layer, it turns into the parent rock. So these are the different layers of the soil, which we call it as the soil profile. So we come to the end of today's video. What we learned? We learned that soil is a natural resource. It has got air, water, living things and lot of minerals in it. We also learned how soil is useful. What are the important things it gives us? We understood that soil is formed from rocks by the process of weathering, and we also learned that when you dig the soil, you can find different layers in it, which we call it as the soil profile. We'll continue the lesson in the next video.